Hello. Hi, VOD people. How are you? I hope you're having a good day. Thank you for watching. I gotta get out the live things, and then we can get talking. Thankfully, I actually prepared them this time. I did not do that last time, and so it was like a solid few minutes of just me typing instead of anything interesting. Inbox. Oh, it's just my own event. Shut up. Thank you. And that should be everything. Yes. Okay. We good. Alright. That should be everything, yeah. I don't care about your channel rewards. I don't care. Dismiss, don't show again, thank you. I have been at work on this. I actually had trouble filling out the last days. By day, like, I think it was 150, I'd done, like, everything. For a little while, I tried wasting time just like, oh yeah, I'll get netherite, but I forgot that I need upgrades for that, and I don't feel like getting upgrades. Or I didn't feel like getting upgrades. And so I ended up not doing that, so I just have like 8 ancient debris chilling in my inventory. I should have used that as decoration, that would have been interesting. I did spend time decorating the house though. I spent a fair amount of time doing that, all the boys' rooms are done. I actually added even more onto the house. I had another story because Herobrine was getting real upset that I didn't give him a room, and then the Knocker started showing up, so Herobrine and the Knocker now have a room together, which I will show off. I'll run around and we could show off the rooms real quick. And also made a little back porch sort of thing in a front garden, because I needed a bunch of wool for making the beds and the poofs to decorate the beds. So I needed a bunch of wool, so I got a bunch of sheep. Also, I'm slowly going insane. I swear there's a new biome. As in, what was once lavender fields is now a different biome. I don't know if I'm just going insane, and it was that. I don't know. I'm going insane. I'm becoming very paranoid. I believe Herobrine is messing with my world more than I know. Like, there's so many new trees that are definitely not there when I first showed up, because the lavender fields were empty. And now I have a mini lavender forest. And a couple trees here and there, and some logs that definitely weren't there before. And now, where there was just mountain, is now a spruce biome. But it could have been there the whole time. I don't know. I swear it wasn't, but I don't know. I really don't. Take a sip of my tea. It's a little cold, but it was too hot, and then I left it to the side, and now it's like not even lukewarm. It's just like a degrees or two below lukewarm. It's not the best. Well, that's great. That's fun. A bunch of fun stuff. On something random. Something completely unrelated. So, Sunday, I was hanging out with a friend, and afterwards, it's like, oh, I need to hit, like, a thrift store, because there's a costume I want to do for get-together this Saturday. And I was just going to do, like, a farmer costume, but I don't have any overalls. I ended up just getting a pair of jeans that I'm going to alter to myself so I can wear them, because I've never had a pair of jeans I actually liked and wanted to wear, nor did they fit me. But while I was doing that, while I get those, thankfully those jeans were only like $7. I saw this shirt, and at first I didn't like that one, but there was one behind it. It's this nice, deeper, almost grayish teal. Not grayish necessarily, but diluted teal color. And touch the fabric, nice and soft, definitely a cotton, because I only really like cotton shirts. Cotton clothes, period. Spandex I'm fine with, but mainly cotton. And I'm like, okay, not that bad, it looks like really brand new. Check the tag, it's only $10, okay. Buy it, I get home, I streamed, and then after stream, I was talking with a friend about, like, oh, I can finally wear the shirt, because I threw it through the wash first. And I put it on, it's perfect. I have, like, really long arms, and I do like sleeves to be able to go over my hands, and this is just perfect. It physically can't get past just the edge of my thumb, which is the perfect amount, in my opinion. And out of curiosity, I'm like, you know what? There's a very clear brand on the tag, and it's not like a stick out tag, it's like it was inked onto the shirt kind of tag. It's a very clear brand, Banana Republic, and I checked their website and everything on there is at least $70. I bought this shirt for $10. This shirt is worth more than my groceries. I still can't get over that. It's been several days. I'm halfway through the week and I still can't get over it. I've worn the shirt like every day of the week though. It is a fantastic shirt. It's so soft. It's so soft. I absolutely love it. Such a good shirt. Anyway, I'm gonna have to get rid of the music. VOD people, you can't hear it, but live people can. Because it's time. It's time for the last day, and I've had it up for like an hour now because I was doing the thumbnail for the video. Also, something interesting that happened in the thumbnail. I don't know if I could even come close to recreating this. I just want to bring this up really quick because I think it's really funny. I accidentally hit the mic, I apologize. I don't even know if I could replicate this. So I changed, this is a copy of the world for the thumbnail. And so what happened is I changed the time specifically to this. It's 9:35, and then I cleared the weather. And for some reason, one of the mobs will it let me spawn it? No, I don't think so. Apollyon? I have to pull up CurseForge. Apollyon? I don't know how it's named. What are you? Hold on, what are you? AP Apollyon, yeah, Apollyon. Wait, can I summon him? Because in order to get Herobrine for the thumbnail, I had to summon him. Can I? I have to do this. There we go. Can I change this to the other guy? That? Yes? But I have it on peaceful. Yeah, that thing. Okay. So for some You're loud. For some reason, when I changed it to that, and after it was raining at first, and I set the weather to clear, it kept spawning these guys damn near infinitely and lagging the hell out of my game. I wish I started recording or at least like took a screenshot. I was gonna take a screenshot, but the game was so laggy that it was damn near impossible to do so. But could I, in theory, reenact this? And then weather clear. Could that work? No. No. But for some reason it just started spawning them en masse. Okay, hi. Herobrine's been messing with this world, but yeah. It started spawning these en masse, and I don't think I could replicate it at all. But it was the funniest thing to see, and I don't understand why or how. I think I found a bug somehow. I don't understand. But that happened. That was a thing. But let's move to the actual world. Well, I'm gonna show off the rooms real quick, because stream has not seen them. And then we can spawn in the Pumpkin Boy real quick, and then run around, and I can explain a few things I discovered while recording. There we go. And boop, get rid of those. So, let's grab the stuff for the Pumpkin Boy. Also, I got more ethereal spirits, but we don't need that. Also, I've been requested by my mod to at them when we're about to spawn the pumpkin spirit. So I shall. There we go. They requested, and I shall adhere to the said request. So this room, this entryway has changed. This used to be a window, now it's not, and I've moved that over here. Also, I've discovered you can make a ship in a bottle, and it's adorable. But now back here is a little area, and I moved the portal back here, because for a little while I was just going in and out mining. And just sleeping every time I noticed it was nighttime. The clock up top. But of course I still have my room. I made little poofs on the side, and then we got a little couch now. And then upstairs is mostly the same, except for there's another floor now. And then Pumpkin Boy is in that room. We're gonna have the Gulber in here. And then upstairs is the addition. And this is where Herobrine and the Knocker are staying. Also, I discovered you can make a telescope, and it's adorable. So Herobrine and the Knocker have this room. They just come and go as they please, so I figured, yeah, let's give them a room. If they start like being really annoying, then I'll separate the room in half. But they have yet to do that. They seem actually pretty quaint with what I've caused. And then, of course, we have the front garden. I discovered you can make hummingbird feeders, so I ran around doing that for a bit. And, of course, my beautiful little front garden. And I also made little pathways all the way over to the lake here so I can get up easier, and a little bit down the hill, because I was having trouble getting up here. And, of course, it's gonna rain. But I'm not allowed to sleep anymore, so we just gotta deal with it. And now time for the Pumpkin Boy. So, if I remember correctly, it was literally just this, yeah? And then one more there. And Pumpkin Spirit! Scarecrow! Create your own pumpkin spirit. Look at him! Oh, you like your bed, bud? Good. I should have made this a longer bed. I can do that, actually. Hold on. Because I'm pretty sure I kept the orange bit. I don't know if I have enough orange wool to make another poof. I don't. I didn't keep the orange bed either. Okay. If y'all will humor me, I want to extend the Pumpkin Man's bed real quick. Hi, Knocker. How you doing? I need shears. Also, I discovered you can make the sickle. I'm like, oh... It's a from what I read, it was a drop and not just a thing you can make. Really easily make, too. I read that it was a drop. I'm pretty sure I read that last time when we were streaming. But no, you can just- I'm going the wrong way. You can just make it. And it was ridiculously easy materials. Like, I wasted several days, on purpose, albeit. I wasted several days just running around because I had encountered the Betrayed Guzzler, which supposedly drops a sickle when you kill it, when recording far earlier, like, before I hit 100 days. Did I turn the music down? Are you down? No, you're not. That's why that's loud. I encountered it way earlier, and so I spent a little while like, did I find them here? Did I encounter them here? And I went to the right spot the first time, and then failed the second time. And then went to, like, I went to the right spot the first time, thought it wasn't that, and then continued on, only to realize the first spot was correct. I was just in the wrong area. And the drop wasn't there anyway. Because I remember I had picked up at least a pair of ribs. I can't remember all of what I picked up. But I did pick up at least that. Might have picked up the sickle. I do not remember. I did not check the recording to see if I actually did it or not. I only checked to see if I found the right spot. Food. I'll take food. There we go. And I need red and orange. Red and yellow. Red. Red. Burp. Give me that. Cool. And then might as well just do this ASAP. Cool. And then just shear sheep really quick and hopefully it drops enough. Hopefully. That was fun. Actually, I spent like a majority of the last days. I spent a good, I think it was 20 days sailing. At least 10 to 15 of those were sailing. At 15, I started trying to head back home because I wanted to make sure I got back on time, which was in vain because I got back way early at like 187, and 188 and 189 I literally watched my trees grow because there wasn't anything else to do. And I think barely one tree grew in the 15 minutes I was watching. Which is very, very annoying. These trees are so pesky to grow for no reason at all. Like, I planted most of these 20 in-game days ago. Because I started doing this pathway on 170 and finished it by like 175. I think I finished it even before 175, it was like 172 or 3. Oh, but I have bones for the Dreadwolves, and I discovered that from what I remember reading, it said like, oh, it spawns in mountain biomes, but from messing around with the Cave Dweller and Herobrine, because I wanted to find out if I could get rid of those, which seemingly I can, so we're going to do that in a second. I'm going the wrong way. I found out that the hounds, the Dread and Dire hounds, pardon me, spawn during the nighttime. So we're gonna go get one. And also from doing the thumbnail, you cannot necessarily tame them, but you can pacify them. So that'll do. I don't know if they'll follow me, but I can, in fact, quote-unquote, pacify it. I could probably... Actually, hold on. I could put them on the lead. I need a lead. I need a lead. Actually, what can I still see what you have for sale despite attacking you? Yes, I can. That is hilarious. Black sand, crocodile scute, pad, origin grass block. Yeah, I don't need any of that. Goodbye. Not goodbye. Well, I got my leads. Oh, I need even more. I need 2 more. I forgot I don't have the orange bed. I need to make an orange bed. I hate the rain. I hate it so much. It makes this so much more dreary than it needs to be, because it is day, but it doesn't want to act like it. There we go. Boop. And then, yeah, I got materials. To switch that over and we can make an orange poof. Probably not how you pronounce it, but that's how I've been pronouncing it. Oh, whatever. Boop. And then got a little more steak, so up you go. And I do not need red. Music gone? Okay. I'm still not sure why the music comes and goes. I'm not sure what's causing that. Hey buddy, how you doing? Yeah, I'm gonna expand your bed. We're gonna do this. Boop. Boop, boop. And then boop. Boop. I hesitate to say that this is the best configuration. Because I'm not sure where else in the room that this would fit as it does. I could maybe place a couch there. There we go. His entire bedroom is just for his bed. You doing good, buddy? Yeah? Okay. And now, next is... The wolves will come as they do. It's just a matter of seeing if I can get one to spawn at all. No, this one. It's a matter of seeing if I can get any to spawn, and then getting more bones along the way, because a bone only lasts 3 minutes each time. If I remember right. I might as well just leave the house now, because I am not staying up during the night, unfortunately. And we'll see how many deaths I can rack up in the next 10 days. But for the guzzler... Good. Or the Gulber. Or... Carcass? Carcass? Yes, you. No. No, 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 no. Click off, save. I need... Okay, I just need 3. I need ribs. I just need ribs. Okay. And it's night officially. Fantastic. This is gonna be great, especially because it's hella dark. And the unfortunate thing about doing two-handed is I cannot have an offhand. It just does not work. I'm gonna die so much doing this. I just want a regular guzzler, so we're gonna go and get some ribs from... Stay away from me! Spider's trying to get me! I don't even need this really anymore. There we go. This'll do. Ah, fun. Yeah, I don't need you in my life either. It's so dark. I don't know if this is even really good to see it all. It kind of works, it kind of doesn't. Also, is that a blood moon? Fantastic, great. I did say if one didn't happen, I was going to spawn one during these days. But first night of the last 10 days. And it's already here. Also, if you're unaware, we are staying up the entirety of the last 10 nights. Oh, by the way, I also found a cake as loot. So when we're done on day 200, I'll eat my cake. Locks breaking? That's not good. Is it the juggler? What? Chugger? Chugger? The pig thing again. Oh, that's a moonflower. That's a moonflower. No. No. I just gotta come up here and kill the 2 zombies and the 3 villagers if they're all still alive up here. Eat real quick. I should really just keep this in my offhand until I fight something. I don't need to eat, never mind. This still hasn't worked. I am so upset about that still. 150 days. Just one unemployed villager. But you have to kill them with the sickle. The sickle, slice all. The sickle has horrible reach though, it literally says it. -5 entity reach. We need 8 of one of these. I don't know if I can mix and match at all, so. I just hope Herobrine isn't watching because I don't want to deal with a possessed villager. Of course you are. Well, now you're not running around at least. But this is still really annoying and really slow. There we go. I can't reach you there, dude. Dude! Please. Can't you just... Can you just make this easier on me? Because I literally cannot reach you from there. There we go. I have to keep moving. What's with the whistling? I still don't know which monster the whistling means. There we go. Raid? What do you mean a raid? What do you mean? I don't want to be dealing with that. This is not my idea of a fun time. Oh great, you're possessed too. Come on. You stuck back there? Oh, this'll do. There we go. It's such a small amount of damage. Okay, that's a little bit more. Got flesh of the demise. Oh great, he's here. Where did he spawn in? So that lightning is the man from the fog, which is such a great addition in my life. Can we find him? There's the raid. Or it could just be straight up thunder. I hate how dark this is. I can't see a single thing. This is why I haven't played during the night. Because it's just straight up impossible. Oh yeah, right, all the villagers are dead, so they're just trying to get to me, but they can't. I'm surprised they haven't started climbing up this. Usually that's what most of their AI goes after. Oh, got a piece of iron out of all that. And why did the maggot go up there? And I'm hoping we'll see some direwolves pretty soon here. Dire and dreadwolves. The dreadwolf is a bigger boy. He's the leader. So he's gonna spawn in others as well. Actually, I'm curious. What's going on? I can't see anything. I can kinda see you. What are those? What are you? Are those hounds? I think those are hounds. They might be, anyhow. They could just be a bunch of moonflowers. No, those are definitely hounds. They're chasing after the skeleton. Yeah, that's definitely a hound. That's a hound. Okay, good to know. They're here. Get my bones out. I do need to keep an open hand, though. Oh, not a sucker. Where are you? Sucker? Sucker? Oh, he's stuck underneath. Oh, you poor thing. Oh, you poor thing. Poor thing. He's stuck. It's so quiet. I still hate how quiet it is. I like my background music. But right now we just got rain. Why? Why? Dude. Dude. Oh, now you figured it out. Alright. Nobody. Well, I was lucky. At least it's almost day, and I'm seriously hoping that the Dreadhounds don't despawn with the day. Two of them are still right there. Just gotta keep my eye on them. It says it's sunrise already. Sunrise takes a hot minute. And the raid's still going on, which certainly don't help. What are you? You're a big bad boy I don't want to deal with. Please don't despawn. I just want pets. I just want a pet. Oh, finally it's turning a little light. Actually see what's going on. You think the pillagers would drop the normal ribs? Because they are humanoid. Okay, dire wolves won't despawn, got it. Good to know. At least theoretically. They're kind of walking around, but... Oh, you're bad. You're a big bad. They noticed me yet? Oh, there's a sucker. No! Not again. Not again. Not again! No. No. And of course it's still raining. It's a pillager? A pillager has that, of course he does. Oh, have you noticed me now? Hello? They're just running around like crazy chickens. I think I need to try and get on top of the house. That's gonna be a little hard to do with these guys. Run! Let me up. Wire raid. Hi, buddy. I don't know how much health you got. Hi, buddies. How are you? You gonna stay still? What's going on here? Are they not? They're definitely hostiles, but they're not going to attack. Bud? Are the dread wolves gone? No, there's still one. There's still one. Fine by me. What are we doing, dude? I cannot follow these guys at all. Come on, just... There we go. I don't understand. You know, I'm better off. Oh, one almost went to attack me. No? Are we just going crazy for the fun of it? I do not understand. Where's the wolf? I heard the wolf. Oh, he's chilling right there. Hi, buddy. Can I? I want you to get up. Ooh. Oh, because you're already hostile, it's not going to work? Yeah, it has to not be hostile. I'm not sure how to accomplish that. Ah. E. Not sure when that one happened. Yeah, I can't tame that because it's hostile to me. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do. I guess we can just go find another village because I know there's plenty. I know there's one down this way. Oh no, oh, it's you. It's just you that has it. Why can't we be friends? You know what? This works. Follow me. Follow me. Come on, let's go. Let's go. We can pretend we're friends, yeah? We can just pretend, yeah? Raccoon. We can just pretend. Oh, why the lag? Ah, that's why. Here, Brian. Where did my friend go? Friend? Did we lose aggro? Nope. Just lost me. Why can't we be friends? Come on. Come on. Come on, buddy. Why do I have 2 oak boats? Come on, get in the boat. Aww. You're not allowed to get in the boat? Well, get in the boat. Get in the boat. Get in the boat, bud. Get in the boat. Where are you going? Where are we going? I'm just following him. Where are we going? Are you trying to get away from the corpse fish? Are you scared of the corpse fish, bro? No, it doesn't seem like it. He's just heading in a straight direction. Oh, he probably doesn't like water. That's probably the thing. What? Okay, yeah, I see Herobrine, but... I care a lot more about what in the world this dog is doing now. Doggy? Doggo? What are we doing here? Does your pathing not know how to handle water? What's going on here? Does it just keep going that way until it hits land? Because it's not specifically heading towards anything, it's just staying one direction. What are we doing? What are you doing? What? You good, buddy? We've almost hit land. We're almost there. Come on, this way. Oh. That changed its course a little bit, but still gonna hit land. Can I bump him forward? Boop. Not really. I'll meet you here. Come, boy. Come on. Come on, boy. Come on. Come on. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah, it just keeps going until it hits land. Get in the boat. Yeah. I'm just getting attacked. Okay. Well, it was worth a shot. And it's gonna go find land again. Oop. Oh, the poor bit. It's just gonna be stuck there. Oh. The hell? I'm hearing like a ridiculously loud video in the background. Oh, they got it figured out. Okay. Or at least they got it paused. I don't know if that picked up on mic at all. That'd be hilarious if it did. There's a village right there. So we're gonna continue out to that. Honestly, this has been most of me recording. Has just been me boating. Like a fair amount of it, because I got really bored, so I ventured this entire sea here, which expands all the way out here, and then up here. And then I realized, oh, there's a river I can follow here. And then went all the way up here, and there's still more to explore. I literally just went sailing. Did nothing more. Just sailing away. Oh, hello, crow. Also, seagulls are the bane of my existence. I absolutely hate them. They show up with specific biomes, usually beaches and those stony shores. I mainly see them in stony shores. But they will follow you for hundreds, thousands of blocks just so they can steal some of your food. It is ridiculous. Also, there's this boat, yeah? And it's supposed to be up in the sky. It thinks it's up in the sky, but it's not there. I actually encountered another one of these over here. Way up here, and it is actually there. For some reason, it just isn't loading in here. I don't understand why, but that's the issue. I don't know why it didn't load there, but it loaded elsewhere. I just don't have the blocks to get up to it, though, because it's like some almost 100 up from the water. I'd make a guess. I'd hazard a guess, anyhow. Am I going the right way? Kind of. Blanket has been deep washed. Nice. Unfortunately, we have spawned in the pumpkin spirit, but we are going to get some flesh. Yeah, you missed the pumpkin. I fixed up his room. He chillin'. And it's almost nighttime again. Fantastic. Maybe we can get some dire hounds this time. Dreadhound. I learned I cannot tame them. I can pacify them, though. No Wi-Fi at the laundromat. Damn. That sucks. So bones are still useful, but it only lasts 3 minutes per bone. So that's great, but because of the little thing I got up at the top of my screen, this wonderful thing, I tried for like 30 minutes to send you a message. Oh no. I just recently saw it, yeah. Because of the thing up here, I can actually see what's left on the timer. It'll actually tell you when a chicken will next lay an egg, which I think is interesting. I have such a compulsion to immediately fall asleep. I almost moved my hand to my mouse so I could pull out my sleeping bag. But no, I'm not allowed to do that anymore. But yeah, hopefully. Also, this is so dark. I know there's a setting for it. I know there's a setting, nighttime. Darkness. Value see those make complete darkness. Value should be lower than night intensity. I don't care. I will do that though. I say I don't care, then immediately care about it. There we go. Does that make it a little brighter? White moon. What does a white moon mean? Actually, you know what? Can I literally just... yeah. Because I'm tired of not being able to see. Did that literally change anything? I don't think it did. I don't think that changed a single thing. What's the flesh for? For the guzzler? Not. It's not the guzzler. It's the Gulber. Brightness? A bright? It didn't change a thing. Not a single thing has been changed. I just want to see. And just the intensity of ambient light at night. I'll leave that. Maybe get good eyes or eat a carrot. Are they good for eyes? Ooh, I loved carrots as a kid. I now wear glasses. Shadows and lighting. White world. Places texture of black color. I don't care. I swore there was like some setting that fixes, depending on the moon. That could have been a completely different shader pack though. Gotta liquefy the shit out of a golden one though. Ugh. Hope it helps you see in the dark. I just can't. I was hoping there was like night vision goggles or something, but I don't think there are. Dog. No. Night. There's night vision potions, which I know help. But I'm just not allowed to see, apparently. It's just not gonna happen. But it's fine, I'm just gonna be a boogeyman and steal the villager's skin in the night. And hopefully we don't cause another raid, because that's what happened last time. Apparently if you kill a villager, it just causes a fucking raid. And the pillagers were just out of their minds, just running around because there are no more villagers. And they wouldn't attack me, oddly enough. Oddly enough. There we go, that's what I was trying to say. Like Oogie Boogie, perhaps. Growing up time. Well, time to make an orphan. Hey, buddy. Yep. Nope. Oh, come on, you run so fast. It's so annoying. It doesn't help that the sickle has, like, horrible... Of course you made a possessed villager. Of course you did. Herobrine, where are you? This thing has such horrible reach. There we go. Oh, it did start a raid. Fantastic. We love to see it. Just love to see it. Makes this so much fun for me. Going to kidnap Mr. Santa Claus. Kidnap the Santa Claus. Oh, there's the raid. I think another villager's over there, just trying to attack me. Hey, buddy. We're gonna stay in here, yeah? That was a lot quicker. Oh, the villager is trying to attack me too. At least this time it worked. Nope. 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 How many do we got? Not enough. I got a heart though. That's good. Because I need 8 of like... I wanna do it. Let's straws. I need like 8 ribs or muscle. And I got 2 of each right now. This is so laggy. Why is it so laggy? Huh. No villager in here. Oh, hi! So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this. This guy's gonna fail to hit me a single time. And then I get to attack this boy. Oop. What's that sound for? Which meanie pie is that? Oh, you have such horrible range. I hate it. It's horrible. Watched that movie religiously as a kid, as well as Phantom of the Opera. I know mine was Over the Hedge. Apparently, I watched that one on repeat. And then I know the book that both me and my brother loved on repeat was Sesame Street's There's a Monster at the end of this book. I also really loved specifically the very last Harry Potter movie. And when I say very last, I mean very last. Just part 2 of the Deathly Hallows. That was it. What did you drop for me? Flesh of the Demise. I just want muscles and ribs. It would be fantastic if I could get those, because I'm pretty sure that's what I need. I can use Flesh of the Demise. Okay. Hey, buddy. How you doing? Goodbye. You know what? Y'all can stay there. Actually, are there any more villagers? I need to check. If we're talking books, mine was BFG and Freak the Mighty. Oh yeah, we've talked about this kind of thing before. I want to see, do you guys drop regular flesh or specific flesh? Because there's a couple different kinds you can drop. No, I think you just drop regular. Oh no, you can. Give me ribs. Oh, I got a heart from one of them. Nice. Cow, I want food. Food. This is so laggy. Give me food. You know, I might actually stick around to this village if the pillagers can drop what I need. My grandma used to read the BFG to me all the time. I hear character voices the way she read it. Spending too much time reading and not enough time killing. Chicken. And cow. And burp. More food. Burp. This is so laggy. I am not a fan. Don't read and fight. It's a lot like drinking and driving. Apparently, I'm the one drunk. Can't read those words together. Apparently. Thank you. I don't know what you dropped, but I know it was useful. There we go. Yeah. Slowly stacking stuff up. I see a boy on the map. There's a bad boy on the map. Hello, child. Sorry, child. Oh! I didn't know that one could happen. I can't even attack you, bro. Why can't I attack you? There we go. There we go. I don't know why your hitbox was being so weird. It's a lot like drinking and driving, but one will get you killed faster. Yeah, that's fair. Eat a little bit. Oop. Oh, they're chilling outside. Hi, baddies. Are you on the roof? What? Oh, you were! I can't eat you from there, that's mean. That's mean. No, I'm supposed to be hitting you. There we go. You're not allowed to swim and aim. That's mean. Ooh, art. Dude, let me tell you, yesterday I went to play on the server and it kept saying I was on the wrong version of Minecraft. 1.20.1. Were you on the wrong version? Oh, hello, arrows. That's fun. Oh, hello, child. I do apologize. There we go. Thankfully, the possessed villager is kind of broken and doesn't know what to do for a bit. Why can I see something through the wall? Why is something going on over there? Come on. Don't know what that is. Took me 15 minutes and multiple real sets before I realized this, for some reason, deleted my 1.21.1 and instead was spitting out 1.20. Ew. I love game lag. Oh yeah, this is definitely game lag. Okay. Well, while the game is lagging, I'm gonna go see what's going on over here. Also, I think you crashed. Yeah, something like that. This is not the first time this has happened, unfortunately. I want to see what this is. What are you? Oh, right, yeah. Anyway, by the time I got on the server, I was over it and just logged off. Oh no. I haven't been on the servers in a week because I've been purely working on this. Nothing but streaming. Oh, don't tell me I got... Okay. So when this happens, I have to force quit Minecraft. As in, I literally have to pull up Task Manager because it won't let me do it any other way. Yeah, because my computer says it's trying to open the launcher, as in, like, giving me the crash report, but it won't even close Minecraft. Minecraft doesn't even recognize... It doesn't even recognize that Minecraft's open. There we go. Alt F4. I don't know if that would work, but we could try it the next time it happens. I've just always done Task Manager because I trust it far more. It's always been my default. Tried to go to the other server and it was down. Other server? Other server? Oh, your friend server? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Big mans. Come on, Minecraft. I just want to play block game. There we go. Please full screen, that would be fantastic. That would be fantastic of you to do. I would like that very much. I'm gonna throw hands with this launcher. Oh no. Honestly, I can't wait to get back to working on the Passion SMP. I realize I'm cracking my knuckles as I'm saying this, so you're hearing that too. I wanna... Yeah, with the burps. I wanna work on Tall's room so bad and work on my base. Excuse me while I get off 1.21 and go to 1.20. There we go. Alright, how much time did we lose to that stupid crash? Am I saved where I left? Or will it set me back to 190? Because we're on 192 at this point, no? Game? Game. Game. Oh, back here. That thing is still highlighted, though. Nope, that's not gonna happen. Okay. Doing it this way, then. Because I will die. Oh, your aim... It's that bad. He's right there. Oh my goodness, the reach is horrible. Oh my god, I forgot how much mountain I have to left to mine. Oh dear. Have you been working on it at all? Oh, we have almost enough for the carcass. Carcass? Carcass. Carcass? Carcass. Man, the reach is just absolutely garbage. The thing was highlighted over here, no? Also, just in case, this is not me sleeping. I can't sleep anyway. Respawn. And it's gone. So the next time I get a possessed villager, I just need to keep on the lookout for that. When you're done on the stream, I'll show you what I got. Alright. The mountain is massive. You know, with how much... From the sounds of it, with how much you're excavating, you probably would have just had an easier time if you made yourself a mountain, instead of excavating one. I feel like it would have been easier to make one at this point. I don't need a mountain. But didn't you want to make it on the side of mountain? Hey buddy, how you doing? I need flatland. Then why are you making it on a mountain? You want an egg here, Brian? No, okay. But the mountain was in the way. Okay, you have fun with that then. Oh yeah, we still got pillagers. We still got villagers. I don't think there's any more villagers left, but... we definitely got pillagers. Somewhere around here. Pillagers? Are you running away? Where are you? I'm trying to follow a map, but it's just impossible. Oh, there you are. You know how we're gonna tackle this? Boat. Come on, buddy. Get in the boat. Boat. I love boat. And plus, it's a mindless task I can do while watching Doctor Who. That's fair. Do I have enough for the carcass yet? Oh, I can give him a Ravager thing. Bodum, Doctor 2. Okay, so part of what I need... like, actually, let me literally show this because now I can. Okay, Flesh of Demise, boop. And I need to gather blood. And then I need one of these. I already have the heart. And then... oh wait, can I just put ribs here? Yeah. Okay, we could just make a regular boy. I don't need that. And I need more Flesh of the Demise. And then I also need blood. And I got the... I have the other thing that I need already. This. But I do need blood, and I need actually 5. Because I need to make a bucket of blood in order to bring this thing to life. Put that there. I need a bucket of blood to bring this thing to life. So I need to gather some blood. I don't need no iron axe. Okay, get out of my hands. There we go. And they're all over this way. Hi, buddies. Oh, I don't need the Ravager. No, no, no. We don't need the Ravager. Yeah, we can get rid of the Witch and the Ravager. Those guys aren't needed. They're not needed at all. I need everyone else alive. I don't need you. Herobrine, you better not make a possessed Ravager. I'm gonna be real pissed at you if you do. There we go. No, it didn't. Great. Alright, let's bring some boys to the side. Can we get any of you in here? Because that'd be hilarious if I could get you guys stuck. I can get them stuck. Okay, fantastic. I got most of them stuck! Okay. Time to collect blood. 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 Give me blood. Alright. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Come on. Give me more flesh. Yes. I have so many hearts. I need more flesh of the demise now, though. Oh god, I forgot how many monsters spawn. Have you not lit up the place? Spawning over there. It has spawned. Can I hit that? No. The part that I dug, 85% I have, but the part I just dug out didn't. Okay, I didn't. Like a dumb. Oh wait, I wonder if I can do the same thing again. And also a boat. Everybody come over here, please. You know what, since I'm using the sickle right now, because I haven't had a shield this entire time because I've been using the two-handed. Bite! Hello, plush! How are you? We're getting flesh. Come on, y'all. In the trapdoors. In the trapdoor or the boat. I'm not picky. I actually have multiple boats, so if y'all could just collect yourselves in these boats, that would be fantastic. Becoming a pincushion. Alright, fantastic. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Try and get both of these guys in one. Is that enough yet? Little bit more. One more. It's still daytime? Damn. What do you mean? I just want your flesh. I just want your flesh. Just your flesh, thank you. Pretty please. Just drop what I need. That's not what I needed! Oh, damn you, Moonflower. This is so laggy. You're not worthy of flesh. Apparently not. Oh wait, do you drop? Would you? You are a zombie. You do! That's all I need. We're good. I need not more. I am pincushion. Well, we got this done in like 2-3 days. So what we need now, I have a extra bucket at home, I'm pretty sure. If not, we can just make one. We need a bucket of blood, which I got. Food? What food? Here, we gonna make food. Oh. Hey, that's mimicry. That's my job. It's a moonflower. Moonflower zombie. Adorable. But we just need to go home. I'll make a bucket of blood, and then we shall do the ritual. And then hopefully along the way we can get my dreadwolves, my dreadhound, my direwolf, dreadhound, direhound. Hopefully I don't die on the way home, because that wouldn't be fun. It would be interesting though. Ah, great. The night has officially started when I hear the whistling. And the clatter of chains. Give me this, yep. And I don't need those. Or that. Picking stuff back up? No, okay. I don't need those either. Hello, drowned. Goodbye. Can I go? See, there's 2 ways home, and technically one of them is easier, so we're going the long way around. We gotta go up through spawn. Gotta go up and over and around, because for some reason that's the easiest way to get to my house. I really wish, like, adventuring around, there's the wood I use, the fir wood. The biome looks so cool, and I so wish that I just made my house in a fir biome. Because it looks so cool. It would have looked so much cooler in that biome, but no. I had to make it in the spruce next to the redwood. Although it is a nice mountain where I settled on. It was a little annoying to work with, but... Hello, lag. Can we not have that? Thank you. It's like the most boring way to do this. Just slow boating. Yeah, ever so slowly. What did y'all have for lunch? I messed it up a little bit by the baked potato. I should have cooked it longer. Because I was literally going to bed last night and I'm like, what should I do for breakfast tomorrow? Noodles. Nice. I am in fact a noodle. Very true. You have figured out my disguise. Where am I? Here, okay. Apparently I dropped the torch, whatever. I was going to bed last night, I'm like, okay, I have an avocado I need. I plead the 5th. Pumpkin, have you eaten it all today? Pumpkin, answer the question. Pumpkin? I have a feeling I know the answer to that, sadly. And the answer is an energy drink, or maybe coffee. Recite. Okay. You recite your previous statement. Bites with Angie. I don't know why I'm asking when I know the answer is coffee and maybe a stick of cheese. Clown! Oh, Pumpkin, warning, there is a clown on screen. Zombie clown. Life turned out to be a comedy. Kill the zombie clown. I've already killed a zombie clown. What do you mean? I've already killed one. Coffee and a protein shake so far. Okay, it's better than nothing. Not great, but it's still better than nothing. Oat. Oat. Stimulating decoction. An intoxicating concoction. Don't drink and drive, kids. I can't drink it. I'm not sure what I expected to happen. Oh, you're not good. I got woke up and I've been on the go since, not making this joke. Puppy. If you're not making the joke, at least text it to me, come on. I would love to hear the joke. I love your jokes. I love this weird, there's this certain, like, rhythm I get in my words when I'm streaming, and I don't know where it comes from or why, but suddenly I start talking like this. And it's the weirdest thing, and I don't understand why, how I do it. It's just odd. Dire hounds! But they're hostile, no! Okay, so the thing with the hounds is they can't be hostile in order for me to attempt to tame them. Already DM'd it to me, fantastic. Also, I get to finally show you the pumpkin boy, because you missed it. Alright, I was gonna remove Herobrine stuff. That's the last days. If it messes up my world, it's fine. So let's put all this junk away. Bip, 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 bip. I'll keep that. Somebody dropped an emerald. And you can go up here. His name is Lewis. Okay, we'll name him Lewis. I could make a second one, actually. Hold on. Should we make a second one? Yeah, okay. I should have figured that would be the response. I just need to run down to the stables and steal some more hay bales, and we'll be good. Do I have more wheat? No. What am I? Oh, yeah. Grabbing this. And burp. Well, we're gonna run down to the stables. What was that? Ow! Stay out of my house! Oh, you broke my damn doors, you ass! Where's my other door, you butt? I better have a second one. Yes, I do. Never said it was for me, but I'm making food. Nice! Also, you can't be mad I did say I was making food. Oh, dude. Y'all stay out of my house. There's a doorbell, consider ringing it. What? What? Hunter's eyeball. Eat for XP. Okay. Are you making me drop my torches? Can you chill? F out. Chill your butt. By the time I get him down at all, he regens. Oh, you suck. I just repaired that. You're breaking so many things, you asshole. I'm just gonna start spam clicking. Yeah, I'm gonna die right here. That's gonna be great. Unless I can save like a few moments to eat here. Of course you're opening my door. Dude's just making a mess of my house. Oh my god, did I tell you what my friend said they would do? What? Finally. We're just gonna spam click. Stay out of my room. Where are you? Oh, you suck on so many levels. Don't you dare knock down that door. course, he's in my room now. This is a ridiculous amount of status effects to give to one stupid, annoying mob. You have to destroy all of my doors? Seriously? Are there 2 of them now? Okay. We're gonna stay up with Pumpkin Boy. Hi, buddy. How are you? Actually, would it be- it might be safer outside. So those are in my house, that's great. Yeah, pumpkin lad. We'll get a better look at him in a second. I think this might be the best way to go about this. Oh yes, 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 yes. I ran out of arrows. Are you kidding me? Well, that bow's now useless and I'm gonna die. Yep. Alright, let me add... There you go. Respawn. What do you mean? Oh, because I reset my... Yeah, okay. Yes, that is the right way. Because I reset my spawn point earlier to check on that thing, and I never reset it, and I got home because I forgot that I changed the spawn point. At least it's day, and that means it will probably despawn the monsters, and they won't be in my house anymore. Hey, at least that's a few days gone. Haha, Seagull. You can't steal shit from me! Also for no reason whatsoever. What would that be? What house are you staying in? On the server? Oh, the trick-or-treat. I do not stay in the mushroom. For no reason whatsoever, yeah. Definitely not. My stuff- I still have stuff in the mushroom. But the mushroom is like, if I- it's a travel house. It just has supplies, that's it. So technically, yes, I stay in both houses, but my current one more than the mushroom. I want to work on my base so much. I liked this project, but I am now tired of it. I think 200, the house you're currently squatting in, yes, it's a mushroom. The mushroom, yes. There's the mushroom, and there's my current base. Okay, cool, yeah. Almost there. Yeah, 200 was a bit overkill. I was saying this earlier. By day 50, I was bored, and again, for no reason whatsoever, of course. By day 150, I was bored. I started mining for ancient debris with iron pickaxes, because I didn't want to break my diamond. And then, because I realized how low I was on diamonds, and I was going to need to repair my stuff. How many blocks would you say? You are not moving my base. I will draw that line in the sand right now. You are not moving my base. Unless you fancy rebuilding the entire thing within the next week. Because I need to work on the base. Also, I could not give you an estimate. That's not a challenge, that is a that is a boundary. You are not moving it. I could not give you a good estimation because that number is constantly changing. And the base has also been made into a mountain, so I'm removing blocks in addition to adding. I could not give you a good number. Circle area? That area is gonna change, like, within this week. If you're trying to replicate the base, this is the worst possible time. Because that base is gonna be a work in progress for at least another, like, 20 episodes. Thinking, at most a double chest worth. That's my best guesstimation. Good luck with whatever the fuck you're doing. I fear for both you and me. And I don't want to know. Are the guys gone? My door's still gone. One door, fence gate, 2 door, 3 door. More door! Okay. What? Oh, arrows. Yeah, this only had them breaking in the first place. Okay, whatever. We're just... Actually, let's do this. Pumpkin small says plush. Yeah, plush you small. What are you talking about? I can move this around now. Doors! I need doors! Doors and a fence gate. 3-door fence gate. Why the music? Knocker, can you knock it out, please? Knock it off. I would like for that to happen. I can get rid of that, too. Remove. Yeah. Or there wasn't a fence gate here, was there? They remove any up here? No, they didn't. Okay. And seemingly haven't removed any around here. Okay, this one. And that's it. Plush knows what I'm doing, lol, and she said, and I quote, "Oh god." Great, I don't want to know. I will warn you though, I do plan on getting on by Sunday. I don't know if I'll stream Sunday, because I just want to spend some time working on the SMP. Especially with so much streaming happening. And I've been streaming so much. But I'll probably I will be streaming on Halloween, I know that. So I'll probably wait off on the streaming until Halloween. And then pick back up the following Sunday or the Sunday after. I'm tempted, I kind of like streaming earlier in the day. So I might change around my schedule. I know I want to stick to Sundays, that's a good day for me. No, hey. Hey? Hey! Just needed that one thing. What'd I do? Oh yeah, never mind. But I do want to get on the SMP by Sunday. I've started up some of editing today, and so after the stream I'm gonna get back to editing. I thankfully already have the thumbnail done, which Pumpkin has seen. And I am very happy with it. And then, yeah, it's really just editing. I'm gonna have some fun finding spooky tunes, though. Because most of my stuff is like, most of the music I have for videos is like chilled back kind of stuff. Oh, something so annoying. I have a application on my computer called WizTree, and it helps me like spot large files and see what's taking up a bunch of space. And I wanted to check how much space, because I know the, like, recording all this has taken up a fair amount, but I was curious just how much. And when I was looking at this, I noticed my editing software, actually, let's let the time pass. My editing software, Filmora, had 10 gigabytes. That's not me misquoting. This is not me confusing the space. 10 gigabytes of backups of every single video I've ever made. And I know because I used to be really good at naming my videos. now I just let it name it whatever the default name is. But it had, like, Colony Craft episode 1, because I've done multiple episodes 1. It had the portal it had the portal videos when I did that, which are no longer up anymore. It had so much. And I'm like, why do you have this? 10 gigabytes, and I have none of this footage anymore. And it was just taking up space. I was so pissed off at that. Anyway, Pumpkin, you can get a proper look at the pumpkin spirit. Look at him. Look how cute he is. But now he's gonna get a friend. Give you friend. And then, boop. Yeah! Look at the boys. If we got a Lewis... Wait, hold on. I have name tags. I know we're naming one Lewis. What do we want to name the other? Do we want to name him Lewis and Lad? Lewis and Lad. Lewis! Lewis and Clark. Okay, that's fair. Lad. Lewis and Lad or Lewis and Clark? Because I think both are funny. I like Lewis and Lad sounds funny. Lad, okay. Lewis and Lad. Has more of a ring. True. Oh, not a tiny moon. Okay, you're Lewis. Lad. Okay, so tiny moons suck because it's heavy gravity. Or... yeah. It will just start stunting you with random bouts of gravity, and it's the worst. Also, it is impossible to boat on water when there's a tiny moon. It pulls you down. It is ridiculous. Do I have extra bucket? I swore I did. Yes, I do. So what we're gonna do to get a bucket of blood, because I finally found out the crafting recipe. We do this, and then we take the ether ashes that I've gathered prior, and now I have a bucket of blood. And I'm gonna pull this down. Oh, it gives me the bottles back. Nice. And we gotta give this guy the rest of his flesh. He gets blood. Tamed from human-like creature. Ugh. I don't want him to be human, though. I want him to be a little lad. What blood do I need for such a little lad? Also, I hope you know we're naming the Gulber princess. Why? Because the room just made me think of princess, and so the Gulber shall be named princess. Sons of Sins. What do I do if I want him to just be a cute little lad? Biped mobs blood like players will make it faster, more resistant. I don't want it to look like human, though. I want it to just be normal. Can I not give it blood? Does it have to have blood? I will attempt without blood, and we will see what happens. Ribs, heart, muscle, yes. So we're supposedly this is fine. We're gonna go do this in the boys' room. Oh wait, I can name him too. Let's name him real quick. Boop, boop. Name tag. Name tag. Princess. What are you talking about? He is a cute little lad. Princess. I don't want him to look like a walking man. I don't want him to look like this. I want him to look like a little boy. Just a wee lad. And I should be able... I hate the gravity. I hate that sound. I'm gonna make you guys listen to it. Supposedly. No? Lazarus Pit. Place a blood bucket. Do I just place? You have to have blood. I know there's a couple other blood. Hold on, I'm looking at the other blood. If I get it from a cow, would that work? Depending on the blood you put in the flesh carcass, your little Gulber will adopt a different shape and abilities. I just want him to be a normal shape, though. I just like the cute little guy. Can I harvest blood from a cow? Would that work? Does cow blood work? That's so foul, it's not even what? It's better than drinking a honey bottle that's so foul, it's not even green. Oof. What a sheep? Is a sheep on the list? Sheep? Sheep's not on the list. Sheep blood. Do I have extra buckets? Yes. And not buckets, bottles. Can I gather sheep blood? Oh, not you again. Oh, you've ruined so much of my house, you little shit. I just want to gather blood. Did you kill all of my sheep? You suck. You royally suck. Where are some animals? At least we have a brighter night tonight. I hear a moonflower. And there's something going on there that I don't want to do. No. I don't like any of this. Sheep. Can I gather your blood? Please tell me I can gather your blood. Yes, I can. Bottle of blood. I don't want to deal with any of you. No, thank you. I'm so gonna die, like, right here, right now. The tiny moon isn't helping. I can barely jump. Okay, great. That spider's gonna come after me now. And the hunter's still around here somewhere. Cool. Barely survived. All for some blood for my princess. I didn't even check what kind of blood, what this gonna make him at. Words. Those were words. Okay. What blood that make you? Normal! Okay, we good. And now ritual? My boy? Yeah! It's alive! Best friends forever, tame an animal. Oh my goodness, that's adorable. Okay. Let me pick up... I want to pick up the blood. Okay. Come on! Come on, blood! Come on! Come on! The boy! Oh wait, hold on. Princess! There we go, princess! Come on, princess! Princess? There we go. What's with me not keeping track of my axes? Oh, do. Come on, princess, just up on your bed. We sit on the bed? Yes. Come sit. Come sit. I wish I had the carry-on mod. Come on, just go sit on bed. I'll tell you who the owner is, too, on the little thing above me. Little thing at the top. Just go sit on bed. Because of all the gravity going on. Oh. You like your room, princess? Oh wait, I wanted to see if this is possible. Like forbidden cinnamon rolls, can I? I can! Oh, I can't, okay. Wait, if I can do that, I wanna- can I put copper in the jars in the pumpkin lad's room? I can! They got copper. What? Magic reeks? Fantastic. I'll also put some coal. Alright, Fan. Oh, did I close these? Thank you. Hey, little man. Hey, there's a little guy. Oh, I love you, Princess. You're fantastic. Nice sit. I love this so much. All 193 days worth it. Every moment of this worth it. Worth it. What? Oh, damn you. Stay out there. I want to move around my stupid house, you butthead. That's not the right one. Actually, yeah, that can go up there. Oh. And beep, beep. Nope. Burp. Found it. Found what? I'm confused. Are you still trying? You're just failing, dude. I want to see if they're... I want to put some stuff up in these guys' room. Did I put any drawers up here? No. Okay. Never mind then. Oh, something I did discover, which is fantastic. I can go through these whenever I please. They've ruined so much of my front... Dude! Yourself. Trying so desperately. Dude. Do you not die during the day? The wolf. Alright. I'll bite. Cool. You good? You good, buddy? Alright, you can just be my lawn ornament now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why did you only drop string? 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11. Oh, you kidding me? 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. What was that? 17. Hi. You're the one that's been wrecking my shit, huh? 13. Okay, fun. Here, Brian? What are you doing, buddy? Have you finally found your room? Oh no, we just straight up actually have an Enderman. Where's the Enderman? Hi! What are you doing? Just normal Enderman, okay. Let's just get Princess back up on her bed. There we go. Yeah, you're fine as long as you're chill. Oh, you found your axe. Okay. I want to repair a house. Repair a house. I knew this was like gonna happen. I'm still upset by it though. Thank you, Nightbot. 13. And boop, 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 boop. And then all these, and then those. Wait, I actually have less? Oh, you're kidding. It was 16? You suck. Spooky music back. Why the spooky... Wait, don't I have like one singular fence post? Yes. It was meant to be... singular post. Beep boop. Okay, now what I've been wanting to do for 100 days. Finally get rid of the eyesores. Of course it's made of those. Where am I? Where? Oh, I'm all the way over here, you butt. That's home. Okay. You're a butthead. It had to be made of the stupid silverfish. Why? Music? Goodbye, music. From what I can tell, the music really only shows up when there's a monster around, but I never actually get to see the monsters. Like, it looks like there's monsters around, but chances are all 4 of those are just people in caves. Because it's really weird. Like, if it's on the same level as you, it will just read it as red, but the moment you go to it, it's like, oh, never mind, we were wrong. It's actually underneath you in a cave. Yeah, like these guys are. They're slowly disappearing. Five minutes of this day, and then another 20 times 5, 100 minutes? 105 minutes to go. This takes forever. I'm slightly regretting saying we'll stay up every night, because this is just ending up taking so much longer than it needs to. So many trees. Have fun with that. Good luck. Piggy. I'm half tempted that we just actually sleep through the nights, and then maybe the last night I'll stay up and actually go out and fight stuff. See if I survive. Because this is just taking forever, and we're already almost done with everything. All that's really left at this point is I just want to get rid of Herobrine stuff. I still need the dire wolves. I still want my wolves, though. So I have missed out on that, yes. So, okay, we do still need to stay up, because I still want to do that. But I'm not sure how to go about it. There's not exactly anything to pacify. I can pacify it. But... Child in the background. I can pacify them, but they can't be hostile to me. I got Christmas plans almost finished. Nice! What are you doing? Okay, good. Can I reach them here? No. Need to be down to 1 more. And I no longer need the sickle anyhow. You read all of these. What? It says they have effect on them. What was that? Excuse me, come over here, please. Oh, it's possessed. I can barely... No, they're possessed. Yes. And 1 more block. There we go. Now time for XP farm. My brother's watching Grian. Nice! Come on! There we go. Need all you up here. Boop boop. Come on. There we go. Hey, this has sweeping edge. Come on. Please. There we go. That's what I want. Burp. 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 Come on. Come on. I think the, like, pressure has just completely worn off on this. I really should have only done the 100 days, because at this point, it's not a race for anything. It didn't help I didn't really have any solidified plans either. Because it was only close to the end of the first 100 days. I think it was like somewhere around day 80, 70, that I figured out what I exactly wanted to do. Oh yeah, I still need to get the other ones done. Oh, my arm is gonna break. Use what little XP I got to repair it. These needed the most. There we go. I'm tempted to go down and let the cave dweller kill us a couple times so I can get us some diamonds. But that might just be boring. Oh wait, actually, let me move over exactly one and then just do this. Slowly but surely. Oh, they're starting to break others. Fantastic. That's actually super helpful. This has like efficiency 3. Come on, man. Why you gotta be so rude? Slowly but surely. There we go. Get rid of my waypoints. Also, I find it funny, I've been here so long that 2 of these structures popped up. Bad omen. Fantastic. That's just great. Alright, y'all, come this way. Oh! That's fun. Thank y'all for that. I'm gonna have a great time getting rid of that lava. Can y'all please just get your butts up here? That'd be super useful. Come on! I love how they're varying sizes. That's actually really cute. People. Yep. Yep, 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 yep. This way! Are they dying down there to the lava? Somebody's walking around. Probably the knocker. That's the wrong tool. Alright, in we go. None of this. Child in the background. Get rid of that. Fantastic. I want to keep an eye out for some dire hounds. Oh, wait. Set spawn. Not sleep, but set spawn. I think we'll just stay out and keep an eye out. Oh, that's a cool looking moon. Keep an eye out on the world and see if there's any dreadhounds that spawn. Dread or dire, either way. Thankfully up here it's only— oh, that's making a right mess. At least it's kind of handling it kind of handled itself. There have been multiple car accidents in my town in the past few days. Damn. Sorry to hear about that. There's just no mobs spawning? That's the wrong buttons. Oh, something's trying to get to me. Is it a moonflower? It's a hunter. As long as I stand like right here, we should be good. Come on. I don't have a bow. Please. Please. Ready, please. Ready, please. Please. Oh, that's just a tree. I tried. It's trying. It's failing, but it's trying. Give it that at least. Raccoon! Oh, hi! You made it up. How are you? Oh, it's gone. Once again, you can at least give it that it's trying. I really hope none of these burn down that lava doesn't burn down my trees. That'd suck. I had to walk like 6,000 blocks to even get these. Not great. But hey, at least I wasted 10 days doing it. Burp. Little noises in the background. That's why I like streaming Sundays. But I need to get this done. Was the hunter fall? I'm seeing something fall. Yeah, the hunter's following me underneath. Oh, he's trying. He's failing, but he's trying. Eerie sound. Here, Brian, where are you? Oh, there you are, buddy. Hi. How are you, bud? How we doing? You doing good? Yep. Have you seen any puppies lately? I'm trying to get a few. But they don't seem to be spawning. Which is rather unfortunate. I still don't know what that sound. Oh! Is that the man from the fog? Or, yeah, it's man from the fog. Oh, there goes the hunter. Knowing where you live, I'm not surprised in the slightest. Oof. I'm trying my best not to look at him. But he just looks like such a sweet guy. I can fix him. Oh, too close. Too bad you can't get to me. Oh, you can? Hi, buddy. It took you a minute. Aw, you poor thing. Goodbye. Oh, you get in there. You get in there. You poor thing. Still no hounds. Fogman? You alright, Fogman? Where are you? I hear you, but I don't see you, Fogman. Goodbye. Hey, buds. How you? You slowly gonna Congo over here? Yeah? Nope. No. You gonna make your way over anytime soon? We got 3 minutes till day. Come on. Zombie hurts. Oh, there you go. What's hurting you? What are you? Oh, you're just a hunter. Why are there no dyers? Why are there no dyer boys? Is this because this area is not really a mountain? Mean Skelemate spawned. Here they go. You know what? I think I'm gonna run to the village. Maybe we can get some to spawn over there. Because I want the puppies. I would like the puppies. But I'm not getting the puppies. And that's a bit of an issue. You a puppy? You're not a puppy. You're not a puppy either. You're a bucket head. I heard a puppy! But he's already growling at me. So that's not good. Oh, hey, Guzzler. How are you? Oh, yeah, there's a puppy, but it's mad at me. Bloop. What was that? Oh, you. Okay. Oh, wait, there's no... Oh, there's already a raid at this village, yeah. So it doesn't matter if I bring a raid to it, really. Are we gonna get any puppies over here? Puppies! I swore those trees weren't there before. I feel like those trees are new. So I don't think... There's not lavender trees over here, yeah? I don't... Well, there kinda is, but not there. I'm losing my mind. I am just straight up losing it. Oh, the pillage is still trying to happen. Yeah, you can try all you want. Anyway. You know, I think we'll keep that one remaining raider, wherever they may be. Oh, please tell me they got stuck in the pit. Can I please just get them stuck in the pit? Oh no, hi. Hey bud, you come here? Get in the boat. In the boat, sir. Sir? In the boat. Yeah, this guy don't even care about me, okay. We can just coexist, I'm happy with that. Hey here, Brian, you know any puppies are? I'm trying to find some. Is the puppy from earlier still around? What? You're just a crow. Hey here, Brian, how you doing? Not much to lose, yeah. Well, I'm still hoping we can get a hound before the end. I can hope. So I don't think there's really any others. But I want to get at least 3. It doesn't feel right if I don't get at least 3. He supports local dog shelters, not breeders. So he wouldn't know. Well, I'm just pulling one from the wild. There's not exactly any dog shelters around. Is the wild the first dog shelter? Bite. Hello. Welcome back, Blush. Is there anything in the Born in Chaos mod? Other than the spirit we already have? Undead stuff? I don't think we can pacify the baby skellies. They have the zombie and skeletal variants. Don't care. It's more wild breeders. Ah. There's not exactly anybody to breed them, though. Mr. Pumpkin. Oh, we could, in theory, get a Sir Pumpkinhead. But that's like a whole boss battle, and I will not survive. We won't even defeat the guy. I don't have a room for him either, which don't help. Because the Dreadhounds were just gonna stay with me. They're also aggressive towards the player, however, if you have not attacked them, then the hound's gonna be appeased by giving them a bone or a stab skull. The appeased hounds will not attack you until a certain time has passed. So yeah, I should have been able to just pacify one earlier, but it didn't work. I didn't hit them at all, though. It just didn't work, unless I just failed and I didn't do it right. In theory, because the last one I saw was swimming, it should still be there. Theoretically. I have been out of the chunk for like at least 50 minutes. Because we saw that day 1, day 2. Something like that. We're almost done. Halfway through these last 10 days. It's taking forever. Come on, is it still over here? It doesn't seem like it, no. Yeah, because it would have shown up on my map by now. I think so, anyhow. I'd make a guess. Yeah, it's not here. Okay. Not here. Gotta wait for the next night. I got nothing to do. There is just straight up nothing to do. Hi, Nightbot. So definitely not a full 200 days next time. Because I do want to continue doing video projects like this. This took a lot out of me, so I want to do them like every other month. But I do want to do video projects like this again. I'm not sure if it will be 100 days, but I would at least like to do something. Because the next one would be December/New Year's. I'm not sure what we would do for that. I would love to do another video project, though. Maybe I find, like, some sort of themed map, depending on what time of year it is. Or I just find, like, a cool map to play and I can have a video project with it. Might be 100 days again, might not. Or I just find some mod packs and then just do 100 days of those. Definitely not 200, though. Definitely not. This was way too much. Like, I could have been done 3 days ago. But no, here I am. 3 days later. How do I change my look sensitivity on Minecraft? Options, controls, mouse settings, sensitivity. Look sensitivity is your mouse sensitivity. Yep, no problem. Thank you, Kofi Butt. Yeah, fish. Yeah, fish. Yeah, fish. Look at that boy. I'm playing with a mouse pad at the moment, so my mouse is so slow. It helps with friction, though. Cause I know I have mine lower. Because I used to keep it at 100, but now I keep it at usually 60. Rough guesstimation. Oh, playing without a mouse pad. Okay. I did miss that word, thank you. Don't have one. Yeah. I so need to get a new keyboard. Part of why I only want to do video projects every other month or every couple months, I do want to do one December. I'm not sure if I'll continue every other month, but I do definitely want to occasionally, a few times a year, do these. I want to do streaming assets, so I'm working on a portfolio for that. And then do that via commissions on Ko-fi. And I need, like, immediately I will be using the first money I get to get a new keyboard and mouse. Hi, how did you get in here? You're welcome to stay, but how did you... Can I just go and collect a bunch of raccoons? Can I just collect a dozen raccoons? If I can't get a... Because I probably will not be able to get a direwolf, yeah? We got Tiny screaming in the background. Can I just collect a bunch of raccoons, like a dozen or so, and then we call that? Like, I know I'm not pacifying them, but it would be fun. There's so much little screaming in the background. That's why I try and do these streams later, but that was not a thing that was gonna happen today. Who's stopping you? That's fair. It's me, I'm screaming. When did you get to Oregon? When did you find where I lived? Humpky? Did you tell them where I live? Oh, you moved back to— I swore you were in a different state than Oregon. Oh, well. So I swore you were in Utah or something. Oh, okay. In the walls. I wish you the best in there. These walls are not thick, unfortunately. This is an old house. Don't look at me, I didn't do shit, Pumpy. We're trying to psych him out. What the hell are you? At this point, I'm just running around. Don't you— no, Seagull, no. No. It's chasing me, I see it on the mini-map. You're not getting my food. No, stay away. No. No. No! Oh, you butt. I don't even have a bow anymore. I hope you overwhip your batter. They're shelling out the insults today. Also, this is what I'm talking about. This little okay, at the beginning I mentioned I feel like I'm going insane because I swore this biome wasn't here. Spirit whispering, fantastic. I swore this spruce biome wasn't here. Like, I'll probably find out in editing, but I swore all of this was, lavender fields, but maybe I'm just imagining it. Because there's definitely new trees where there weren't trees before, and I don't think Biomes of Plenty is doing that. Unless it is, and I'm just completely incorrect. I'm seeing... Why red dot? Oh, lag. Refresh. Why red dot? Something there. I don't care. It's almost time for puppies! For Christmas, I might just get my grandma clothes. Nice. Nice, nice. I'm like hearing music in the background. I'm not sure what song it is. I know somebody's playing it out there, but I can't figure out what song it is. And I know it's just quiet enough that you guys can't hear it. Because I can barely hear it. And I know I have noise suppression on. I got no clue. Also, I don't know why, but on the mini-map, the skeleton horse is blue. And it has jump height. Oh, that's just telling me the jump height and speed boost. I thought that says it had a speed boost. Wait, is there a saddle? Can we run around on a skeleton horse? Saddle. Horse armor. Saddle. 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 Ooh, lag. Saddle. No. Thinking spending 600 Christmas presents this year? Damn. Why are there no saddles in a stable? What's up? Should play the orphanage. Is that a thing within Minecraft or outside of Minecraft? If it's outside of Minecraft, then if you buy it for me, we can do a call. But be warned, I don't like scary stuff. Not necessarily because I get scared of it, it's not appealing to me most of the time. Minor Moon. Like from 1.8? I think I know what you're talking about then. I think I remember watching somebody play that. I'm not sure. I might be thinking of something else. I think so. Alright. I'd be down for that if you send me it. Send me it and I can look into it, find out if we will or will not. You know, I'm going behind my house. Into the woods. Get me some puppies. 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 I remember being scared as a kid and I rewatched and I was not that scared. Oh, Dan TDM. I might have watched him play that. I think the one I'm thinking of is probably Amnesia. I think I watched popular MMOs and Jen play the Minecraft version of Amnesia. What here? Ah, it's just suckers. And more suckers. Whoa. Oh, Nightmare Stalker, great. I've been meaning to say hi to you. You're a cute puppy, though. You are a cute puppy. Oh, there we go. Oh, this is not the way to go. As someone who's played Amnesia, fuck that. Fair enough. Is the stalker, nightmare stalker, still there? Or am I allowed to get my stuff back? I would assume it's still there if the stalkers are still here. Yeah. Then we go. We leave. Oh, the lag. Well, I wonder, is it following me still? Yes, it is. Can we bring it into the water? And can I fight it this way? I might be able to. Gotta deal with these things first, but I seemingly would be able to. Okay, there's so many of these. Why are there so many? This way. What? When I say I like / prefer psychological horror, I don't mean that much. Ah. Come on. Okay, stalker's all the way over there. I just wanna... Stop biting me! I just want to get to the shore, so I can defeat the corpse fish, and then we'll go out into the water. Yeah, he's slowly following, very slowly, but nonetheless is following. He's so slow, that's hilarious. And my game's lagging probably because it's spawning more stuff in for me to fight. That's a chicken in the water. Okay. Is it gone? Why is the boy gone? Boy gone? Fucker? I think it's gone. That's sad. Soma isn't that bad. Really? I need to get rid of that stuff. Burp. But the water part, 0 out of 10. Never, no, never again. Yeah, that's fair. I can see why you say that. Truly embodying a cat. You and water do not get along. Okay, can I get some dire wolves, please? Fuck the water levels. That's fair. I always hated water levels purely because they were annoying and made the most basic mechanics just purely annoying. Like, not even logically or, like, mentally stimulating or intellectual. It was just purely annoying. Especially old water levels. Like, some water levels do it right. And then there's others that just don't. You! Yes, you! I have a dog truce, yes! We have a puppy! Oh, I can't lead him, though. So we have a truce, but it doesn't work. Oh, this one is, and it also takes water physics into account. Fantastic. So dire hounds are not the way to go. Should I just make a second Gulber? I mean, I probably have the time to do so. Oh, that's a baby. That's another wolf. Is the wolf chasing me or the skelly is the question. Little bit of both. Oh, you! Okay, wait, hold on. I want to fight that guy. I've been wanting to fight that guy for ages. I don't like the bees. I don't like the bee guy. We can ignore that guy. Hey, Knocker, how you doing? And of course the bee guy. Now bees will be angry at me, which isn't fun. Because he also spawns bees. Hey, get your butt over here. Can my screen not be yellow, please? Oh, there's so many things going on. I don't want to deal with this. Y'all are just annoying. What is... Oh, that's probably where the Knocker was hanging out. He likes to hold torches sometimes. Oop, nope. That's not what I wanted to do. I want to go to this guy. I want to see what this guy's about and potentially die. He despawned? Why did he despawn? Every time I go to fight a cool guy, he despawns. Oh, he's just gone. Why? Y'all just suck. You better not kill me in like the 2 seconds I'm taking to run back to my house. Alright, what now? Cause... the direwolf thing is not gonna happen. There's not a way for me to get him back to the house. I can pacify. I can't tame and bring home. I can't bring home at all. So what's now? You know, I'm gonna let the time pass. I'm gonna let the time pass as I look into something. Who eat? What eat? I eat? I heard eat. I need to eat. Okay. Move my desk. My desk was not happy with being moved down. Anyway. Is there something? Because Cave Dweller comes and goes as he pleases. Polyon, I haven't seen, actually. Although, supposedly, we have him spawned. There's the anthropophobia thing, which is just a bunch of bugs. Cave Dweller, we have Herobrine. Then we have the Gulber. There's the anomaly, but we've seen him once. And I've yet to see him since, at all. Then we have a Knocker, too. And of course Herobrine. I think I've already mentioned that one, though. I don't know. Because we at this point, we just chilling. I mean, I guess we can go make another Gulber. I'll see what I got, and then we can go visit a village. How many days? We're on 196, so we got 4 more. About 80 minutes, because we have to wait through each night as well. Unless you guys want to allow me to sleep through the nights to get this done quicker. And then I'll stay up the last night. Because honestly, at this point, I am literally just dragging out the time. Yeah. So we'll still stay awake. We'll stay awake 199. And then... yeah. We'll stay awake 199 and then sleep till then. And while we do that, I'll get another Gulber. Because this is taking forever. And I got nothing better to do. There are 3 types of Gulber we can get. I could get the 3 different types of Gulber. Because I need to check. It depends on the blood. Is what changes it. So I just have to go around killing a bunch of stuff. So let me pull back up the mod. Because we can't make the human one, I already know that. I'm hoping this is all on the pretense that we can even do this. Because I might only be limited to one Gulber, but you would think they would allow me multiple. So, chicken, fish, and then a Ravager. We need the blood of a Ravager. So, I gotta go kill a villager during the night again. But seriously, I do need to go do a bathroom break, so we'll pause for a sec and I'll be right back in like 2 seconds. You guys get music for a moment here. Well, I go do that, because I've had too much tea. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Hey, hi. Why the licks? Why? Why do you feel the need? Also, my armor's so gonna break on me doing this, but whatever. You plush check the nerds chat, same to you. Nerds? What do you mean, nerds? DMs? I'm confused. I will watch the video later. We need bucket of blood. I got the human blood already. Okay. Carcass? Can I make it out? Yeah, I can make it out of hearts. Okay. And then I need more bottles. We need 2 more. And I need to get a Ravager somehow. What? Why is it undulating? Oh yeah. It does that. But at this point... There's like so many villages I can go to. There's so many places I can go. We need fish. We need fish, and then I need... Out? Get out? This way, get out. I need fish, and then I need a Ravager. And then I need a lot more materials. So we're gonna go loot a bunch of villages. That's not wrong. It's just a jar of dirt. It's fine. If I could put this in a jar of dirt, that would be fantastic, but I can't. Someone should make that a mod. Just call it jar of dirt, and then you can put anything you want in a jar of dirt. That's it. That's the mod. Don't need anything else. Modding community, we're done. We just want jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt. How's that not a mod? That has to be a mod. You're a jar of dirt. Thank you. I appreciate it. Glass bottle. Come here, fish! Fish. No. Fish. No! No! Okay, I have to do this. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. No, come here. No! Yes. This is the only way I know how to do this. Why is it so laggy again? That didn't give me the bot. Oh, there we go. Yes, I did. Okay, never mind. I'm wrong. I did, in fact, get it. Oop. And I don't actually need the fish. Because your mom. Why would you say that to her? That's mean. You're not getting any of her cookies this year. No more cookies for you. You don't get dessert month. Wait, Plush, have I ever explained to you dessert month? Cookie month. Have I know Pumpkin very well knows. I don't think... Plush, are you aware of this? Haven't had them the last 2 years. I know. In my defense, you did move away. Why the lag? Saw a black mane kitty today. I got the pet. Nice. Flush, have I explained to you what dessert month / cookie month is? Where's the next village? Probably over there. Licks. I have not. Okay. I'm probably gonna post about this on social media anyway. Cookie Monster. Something like that. I don't know when this tradition started. I don't know how this tradition started. Yeah, it's the best thing ever. My mom is amazing. And so, every single day of December, she makes a different dessert. It's usually called Cookie Month. I just call it Dessert Month because we don't only do cookies. The cookies can range from the classic chocolate chip to my family's specific recipe for chocolate oatmeal cookies. It's a no-bake. Someday, we always have to have fudge. Or there's a toffee bark my mom also does. We've been starting doing meringues every year. There's popcorn balls we've done in the past, rum balls. I think we're doing red velvet cookies again this year because it was really good last year. Literally, basically everybody we know has to get Santa's surprise cookies. Zebra popcorn? I don't know if we've done zebra popcorn. I know we've done caramel and we've done hot cinnamon. I'm trying to think. I was gonna say something, I forgot. Hot take? What's up? What is said hot take? Oh, the dolphin swimming. Nice. And it's almost night. Where am I going? That way. Okay, I understand. But I don't like zebra popcorn. Okay, I need to look up zebra popcorn. What are you talking about? Zebra popcorn. That thing? I've never had zebra popcorn. Is it just white chocolate and dark chocolate popcorn? Chocolate on popcorn, okay. Fair enough. I think I probably wouldn't like it simply because I know I'm picky about my food in the sense that my food has to taste like it's supposed to. So, if you give me broccoli, I'll happily eat it. But if you give me chicken fried steak, chances are I'm not going to eat it. I just don't do chicken fried steak. It's a very weird, interesting, picky thing. I like popcorn as it is. I'm not adventurous with my popcorn. I just like a good old butter. And because it brings a sense of nostalgia, coconut oil works too because most movie theaters make coconut oil. And my school used to do popcorn Fridays. My elementary school did popcorn Fridays, and so that was also made with coconut oil. I just heard a Discord noise. Yeah, Discord changed their noise. I don't like it. I really don't. It's not the greatest. Try and see if you like it. I'm gonna guarantee you I won't. I'd rather not waste the money because I bet you no one in the house, except maybe my nephew, will eat it, but then he'll forget to eat it. Actually, we have a bag of caramel popcorn from when we got pumpkins. Caramel apple popcorn sitting on the counter right now. That it wasn't getting eat fast enough, so he brought it over. Am I going? Yeah, I'm going the right way. Oh god, I thought I just heard Discord noise. It was my friend getting rickrolled. Oh dear. I know I was gonna sleep through the night, but I need to kill a villager and get a raid, so I'll sleep after I get that. This takes forever. I thought Plush was gonna rip me a new one. Maybe they're just silently stewing in their anger. I hate how quiet. I want to go back. I can't wait to go back to Bastion SMP. The excitement of this mod pack has worn off, because now I just know how to deal with everything and what to expect. Although finally seeing the Nightmare Stalker was nice. Although I only learned about it, like, 110 days in. Light over there? Is that lava? Yes, okay. So definitely no more than 100. Oh fuck yeah, what's going on? What's up? This way. This mountain has a giant cavern. So less for you to mind? Nice. Here, Brian, what are you doing out here? Which letter did you write this time? Today's letter is R. I think that's an R. That might be a B. Give me my boat. Oh, that's the child. That's the laughter. Is that an R? Yep. Letter of the day is R. Where am I? I'm going this way. B is in bit. I hear the moonflower. Oh, that's not a moonflower. That's a nightmare stalker. I saw those eyes. I saw the eyes. I saw the eyes. There's also moonflowers, but I saw the eyes. No. I see those eyes. Well, this is fun. This is great. We love this. This is so great. I love it so much. Yeah, I see you. You suck. Oh wait, can I kill him like this? That thing's just hurting itself. Is that... I can't It doesn't actually have it. Oh, there it is. Why do you have such a small hitbox? Probably so you can't get cheese like this, but it doesn't matter because I turned on your hitbox. Strength 3 and oh, hi. Goodbye. You're not getting any of my food. Sorry, plush. I will have your skull. Fighting nightmares. Nice. Did he drop the skull? Please tell me he dropped the skull. I can't see it down there. Did he? Bite. Bite indeed. Oh, there's corpse maggots. A bunch of stuff that got dropped. Burp. Nightmare claw. Monster skin. Alright. I got another ethereal spirit. I'll take that. Turn off hitboxes. And time to go be a boogeyman. Yep. I like this. So, I want you to know how cursed my whole thought process was. Oh dear. What's going on now? Please turn in possessed. Nope, just normal. Okay. I was really hoping. Oh, you're possessed. And I see something over there. The anomaly! You finally show up! And he's gone. Nope, no he's not. No he's not. He's not gone. Where? Can I see it? I was thinking of this gif I sent Plush last night to reply when she said bye, it reminded me of it. Okay. No anomaly? No? Sound? I still don't know what that sound, which monster that sound is for. I'm guessing the man from the bog? Surge protector. What does that mean? Protective villager from an undesired shock without starting a fire. Okay. And my brain just went... Imagine you had no teeth and someone just... And someone was just gumming it when biting you. And as I was thinking gumming it, you said corpse maggots. Ah. Here's some cursed knowledge for you. Fantastic. I hate it. Alright, child, you better turn possessed. You better become possessed. Please, I beg of you. Possess. Possess! Nope. Are there any other villagers? I would assume there's some over here. Yep. Possess! Possess. There we go. Give me a raid. Come on. Raid! As it's turning day, too. Mud pigs! That's adorable. Oh, those are hounds! Do I still have any bones? Yes, I do. Okay, we good. Dog truce. Truce! Does this count as fulfilling my goal? Hey, so I actually need your flesh, if that's okay. If y'all could just get dead, please. Yeah, you too. There we go. Don't need that, don't need that. Apparently I have 2 bottles of blood now. Can I drink? I don't have more blood. That's kind of the whole reason we did this. Okay, hold on, hold on. Dropping everything. Where's some sand? I need sand. 1, 2, 3. Luckily, I'm actually prepared for this. We'll get up here to a safe spot. And then lucky me, I actually have a smelting attachment. Smelt. Oh. Boy. Come on, get you in there. Get you in there. Please, get in the boat. Oh, there's 2 of them in there. Fun. I need to do this. Oh, come on. I just wanted the boat. There we go. Raccoon tail, don't care. Burp. That'll do. Sad they're gonna die. I didn't mean to. Okay, I'm getting tired of you. Sorry. I did drop a heart, though, which I do need. Okay. And the music's playing, which is fantastic. Gotta love that. And my armor's almost gone. And then, no, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to do this. Get more bottles. I don't understand where this music's coming from. Or why. I'm just gonna come up here to be safe. Because I don't trust it. Not one bit. This is the furthest I've heard the song ever go. Well, it actually finished for once. That's a miracle. Oh my... Oh, feels so good. Oh, where? You, okay. Alright, offhand. My armor's like so gonna break, but whatever. We're almost done. Oh, I did that with the bottles in my hand. I didn't think about it. Alright, looks like I'm crafting the next carcass. And dealing with that real quick so I can get a bottle of blood back. Use some flesh. Oh, but... And it has the oh. I need more glass. Question is how I get around that guy. Because I need the Ravager, so I can't kill him. But I need sand, so I need to get away. Okay. This is alright way to go for now. As long as they don't notice I'm here, we're good. Burp. Okay, we're okay for the moment. Furnace, we're doing this again. Yeah, it's all the way over there. Nope. I need the Ravager's attention, not yours! Yeah, this'll do for now. This works. This is fine. I'm still not sure how I'm gonna get that Ravager blood. Can I just get it to come over here, please? Yes. You and your stupid hitbox. Get over here. It's this or a Hoglin, so... And I don't know how to get my hands on a Hoglin. Did I get it? Yes! Yes, I got it. Okay, we're good. I'm good with life. I'm happy. This is fine. You're not gonna get me. Alright. Bite. Bite indeed. And boop. And boop. I have no idea how this is gonna work. I have no idea what's hitting me. Oh, it's the corpse fish. That's what. Okay. Why do they take, like, so much damage? Like, not even, like, good damage, too. Yeah, boop. Come on. Yeah, boop. Oh. Boop. Accidentally hurt the poor turtle. Turtle? Are you hostile? No, you just running around. Okay. I have no idea what's hurting the raid. What's happening? Nope. You're dead, mister. Okay. What hurt the other raid? What hurt the rest of the raid? I have no idea. Oh, one managed to spawn. Okay. And of course they dropped bottles. We're gonna make that Iron Golem so upset after this. Because I gotta kill more villagers. I should really start using the shield again. Because I'm just taking hits that I really can't. Like, my helmet will die. Burp. 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 Give me your ribs! Surprised the Iron Golem isn't attacking me for hurting the villagers from prior. Wide creature. That's the only way to name it. You suck. 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 Goodbye. 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 Because, yeah. And that is a trident boy trying to get me. Burp. 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 Alright. Well, this is a great way to end it. The fan said to the vacuum, huh? Confused? Oh, coming from the same way again, why? Also, I will actually sleep this time. Come on. There we go. The hell? What about no? Not allowed to sleep when monsters are nearby. Yeah, that checks out. So let me run, like, all the way over this way. Was that the knocker trying to get me? No, that's just Bilger. Womp womp. Womp womp indeed. It's a pillager chasing my ass. Why? I just want to make it day 198, and is that so much to ask for? Apparently, yes. How's this thing still chasing me? This guy is still- okay, there we go. That's what I thought. Hey, Herobrine, can you please politely go away? I just want to sleep. I just want to sleep, bro. There we go. Herobrine! What moon is it? Blood moon. Fantastic. I hate it. Please! Herobrine! Or that might be the knocker. I don't know at this point. I'm pretty sure it's Herobrine, though. Yep, he's right there. But you can't get too close to him, otherwise it won't let you sleep for like 3 minutes. It's the most annoying thing. Okay, what about now? No Herobrine? Sleep? Yes. Yes. Okay. And of course he's watching again. Fantastic. My music's dead. Fuck you. And I think what I'm gonna switch to is just taking the finishing blow. Yeah. Picking the finishing blow with... oh! I can't even tell which thing broke. Am I allowed? No. Why? Where's the Iron Golem when you need him, huh? Am I gonna get a totem on my last day? I heard that. Oh, I'm getting a totem on my last day. Fantastic. I wasted time getting the second one. Well, aren't you impossible? How do we solve this? The never-ending death loop. Okay, that's all my stuff. And we're gone. What was that? 4 deaths? I'll add them in a second. Okay, my helmet broke. I'm fine with the helmet breaking. Yeah, y'all come steal my stuff, I know. How many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 16. Great. I love that. Remove. Question is, do I want to deal with that? I kind of need to if I want to get more stuff. But also, I don't want to be stuck in a death loop again. I think this village is done for? I see another one. We're gonna move on to that one, yeah? No, I'm not bringing you with me. Go on. Goodbye. Goodbye. Bye. Goodbye. 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 No, thank you. Am I even going the right way? No. No. Okay, I want to know what this altar thing over here is. The Stonehenge looking thing. I want to know what it's about. Also, I have so many obituaries. What are you about? What is this? Why? Why thing? Scent of the minnows. Great. Nothing? Alright, just a structure. Got it. Where go? Here go. That way go. Oh, it's not a cave. Okay. Well, that was a fun way. That was a fun thing to do. That's definitely out of my skill set now, though. Yeah, that's lost. Hummingbird! I haven't seen one in ages. Oh, that thing. That's great. Oh, I can hear the guy. Hey, buddy. How you? I already did this, though. I already dealt with this. I already did this once. You are a horrible, horrible thing. Bite, bite. I bite you back. I can't speak. I could have really just kept going around the river instead of running. I think I'm just barely gonna get both the Gulbers. I want to bring them home first, though. I'm not sure where we're gonna put them. Actually, they can just follow me, yeah? Oh, but they're gonna have a hard time. Okay, well, we will wait to get home to spawn them. Because it's gonna take a lot of boating to get back home. Where? Almost. Villagers, I require your flesh. Or doesn't it have to be? I've just been going after humanoid creatures because it's easy. Oh great, you're possessed. Fantastic, we love that. Oh, great, the lag. God love that. Oh, another raid. Love it. Just love it. I forgot about that fun feature. Alright, villagers! I am their boogeyman as much as I am yours. Wait. Oh, come. Okay, it could have been anything. Wait, no! Get back in the house, please. It's very helpful for me. Hi, you. We're gonna do this, and then boop. Burp. Burp. There we go. And bloop. Bloop. And then boop. Nope. Come on. Come on. Just let me steal your flesh. Just a little bit. Please. Just a wee bit. Just... Come on. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Still need more. I'm gonna break the sickle before I'm done. Hi, Herobrine. How are you? Where are all the... Oh, you poor thing. You poor thing. Okay, where do the other ones go? Is there just like a cave under here? What's going on? It says like all of them are right here. Yes, yes, they are. Oh, that's another possessed one. I'm gonna die. That's not good. Let me set a spawn somewhere. Come on. Just let me set a spawn. That's all I want. Okay. I'm good with the world. I'm surprised the Iron Golem hasn't gotten mad at me yet. Thank you, Nightbot, for all your stupid alerts. Nope. Oh, come on. I got Bad Omen again. Great. Is that gonna make this worse, or... possibly? Are we good, bro? Seemingly. Also, what is this? Okay. I thought it was like a different house because of all the decor around. Oh, you're also possessed. Oh, you just act like a zombie. Okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Come on. Okay, I'm not doing this with you. You have a really stupid hitbox for no reason in particular. Oh, now I got the Iron Golem angry at me. Great. He's the one attacking me, officer. Okay, that's not gonna happen. At least the villager's faster. Slightly so. Come on, this way. I will steal your flesh. There we go, and we're good. Goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. 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 No, thank you. Iron Golem's trying to chase me, but it's not happening. Not at all. Goodbye. Minor Moon. Herobrine! Where are you? Iron Golem's still trying to chase me. Yeah, I can get over here. Okay. Hero. I don't know which monster that is. Herobrine, where are you? You're being a butt. Just let me sleep. Damn it, Herobrine. Now my boat. And the lag. Why lag? Is the stupid Apollyon thing spawning in? Sharked on your own saliva. Womp. Womp womp indeed. Where? Hopefully if I go far away enough it'll be fine. Because it takes a good minute for the can't sleep thing to go away, unfortunately. Oh, that's fun music. I actually do like this one. I've heard it often enough. Oh, I'm surprised they actually let me sleep with all these guys here. Oh wait, if I killed them with the sickle, is that helpful? Does that give me good stuff that I want? Why do the fish have dolphins, Grace? Why do the corpse fish have dolphins, Grace? Oh, 199. Oop, there we go. That's one. That's two. So these guys can. Okay. I could have been killing fish and chickens this entire time. For these. Instead of wasting my time with big bad enemies. That would have been great to know. Okay. Oh, hi. Nope, you're just a regular guy. Okay. I thought that was another corpse fish. I got like 15 flesh of the mice. We'll use some of this. That makes a carcass. Get rid of those. Carcass, in goes the singular piece of muscle that it needs. And then it goes that, and all this. And then you're going to be a human. Actually. Fish. You silly boy. Blood. The big boy. And then ether ash. I don't know if we'll get all of these. But at least I do want to get the big boy. He just looks so silly. And I can... Let's actually just go around killing fish, because this is actually a pretty easy way to go about this. Give me the muscle! So, kill you so much, thank you. Oop. And give me that muscle. And that's just regular fish, I don't need that. And what does that get me? Another piece of flesh. I got extra ribs now. So I can craft the next bad boy. Ribs. Second boy. This boy is going to be human. I hear you here, Brian. We don't need to be playing this. But I need a lot more flesh of the demise in order to get this guy done. Thankfully, the flesh seems to be the one that lands the most, or drops the most, I should say. So that shouldn't be too bad to get. Would it be easier to kill fish, or... Actually, probably it'd be easier to do fish in open water, huh? And there's also chickens to consider that are low health. Also, we will be staying up this night because we're finally on 199. I still don't know what sound. Oh, actually, I know that sound. That's for the Apollyon thing. I assume he's somewhere... Oh yeah, I'm getting lag. He's somewhere up in those hills. Absolutely. If I'm getting lag looking in a direction, it's the Apollyon. This shovel of mine has made it through 3 updates. Damn. Oh wait, can I get squids? Does squid give something special? Because there can be special ribs that drop. Nah. I think I got a good drop though. I don't know if I actually did drop anything. Maybe more mussels. Actually, I don't think it dropped anything. I think it only gave me the ink sacs. I have to test it. I have to test it on one of the birds. I need to know. Does it actually help? Rip Gravedigger, you will be mourned and missed. You broke it! How dare. I'm hearing the Apollyon thing again. And I'm getting lag, so it's safe to say he's somewhere around. Okay, that's not happening. I spaced out listening to you. You broke it? How dare you? Why would you break it? I'm getting so much lag. Okay, Apollyon, you gone? I assume so. Yep. What's going on? What's this meanie here? Oh, Clogger. Yeah, we don't want the Clogger. Goodbye. No, not you. Not you. I've had a death to that guy. Not that guy. Never again. Never again, Clogger. Clogger sucks. He sucks. He's a gone? Okay. Oh, it's a bit mean, but I could always go to one of the boats. There's a boat there. We're going to the boat. I can get villagers really easily that way. I still don't know what these pyramids are about. There are so many of these around, and I still do not understand what they're about. Not a clue. And I need to drink more water. This is my friendly reminder to everybody to drink some water. Go get a cup of water right now if you do not have one. Or if you have a drink next to you, please drink that drink. I don't care if it's an energy drink, just drink something. I would prefer water, but at least drink something. I don't know what song I started with, but I ended up with the Hey Macarena. How did I end with Hey Macarena? I was probably thinking of that stupid Vine where it's just like a bunch of songs and they end it with Hey Macarena. Or not Vine, like TikTok meme, I guess. Ah, you can start a raid on the boat. That's hilarious. Like, I understand how that would happen. Oh, there we go. There we go. Raid is stuck on the shore. That's great. Where's the possessed boy? Oh, the possessed boy fell down. Yeah, I'd love if all these guys could just get stuck down here. That'd be great. I could just essentially farm y'all. That'd be fantastic if we could just do this. Oh, why the lag? Probably because the possessed villagers. Such gushy sounds for what? Why? Why the gush? You don't need all the gush. That was unnecessary. Oh, we got another possessed. Why aren't we— there we go. There's that sweeping. Come on! It takes so long. It's such horrible range, it's not even worth attempting to do a— words. It's not even worth attempting a— It's not worth attempting the critical. Come on. There we go. I still hate how gushy it is. Oh, my armor. Hey, at least we're almost done. Alright, what do you need still? You need these. And now we got our human boy. And I do have enough. Boop. Muscle, use all the muscles. Create one last one. That also needs another bit of dust. Dust, dude. I need more ribs though. I need ribs and flesh. And we will not be sleeping through the night. I will be setting my spawn here real quick though. If I accidentally sleep through the night, I apologize. There we go. Oh, is there one left? Is there one that got thrown overboard? Oop. Oh, no wonder. Why can't you escape this at all? That's horrible. Oh yeah, you did get thrown overboard. Sorry, bud. Oh, great. At least this makes it a lot easier. Almost done. Gimme that. I don't need any more hearts. I do need ribs and a lot more flesh of the demise. I still don't know what those sounds mean. Is that a baby? It is a baby. Hello, baby. Burp. Burp. Oh, even the aquatic ones drop corpse maggots? Well, yeah, it checks out, but... Really? Why? Okay, buds. You're gonna come down here, and then I'm gonna fight you with the sickle. Yep. Oh, they're broken because the villagers aren't here anymore. Fantastic. I love broken villagers. Pillagers. Oh, I think he dropped bear ribs. Fantastic. And it is refreshing. Cool. No more demise flesh, though. Which is kind of sad. Will they just respawn right here? What is swimming around like crazy? I don't know. Will y'all attack me, or are we gonna just chill? No one's attempting to, so I'm gonna assume we're broken again. This is so dark. Y'all mind if I light it up real quick? If I light up the space? There we go. Much better. If I just come over here and we just do this real quick, I would love to do this. There we go. Thank you very much. No flesh of the demise still. Come on. I just want your flesh. Oh, now you attacking. Ow! No flesh. This one I should just keep a slot open. Burp, burp. And dead. Flesh! Where the... Oh, the flesh is right here. Burp. Flesh! Oh, yes. That's all of them. Okay. We can go home and have all of those. Fun. I got all 3 of those now. Oh wait, hold on. Did I miss one? Now I'm thinking about it. I missed a chicken, right? I think the chicken's the other thing I missed. Blood of a chicken. Now that I'm thinking about it. Sons of the Sins. Did I miss the chicken? Yes, I did. I did do that. And we got 4 out of the 5. It's fine. I'm just gonna leave that. We're going home. We have 4 minutes to get home. Got 4 minutes to run all the way back. And that's almost it. Moon's already setting. I gotta run my little ass back. Trying to take the most direct route there. Yeah, you can have that stick. I don't need no more. And hopefully doing this, I don't die in the process of her returning home. Hopefully. Tickles with rage. How dare! How dare! We gotta make it home. I don't got time for Tickles. I don't have time for Tickles. We have officially 4 minutes to make it home. I know you like your Tickles and your bites, but we gotta run home. There's no time. I heard something fall and I don't want to know what it is. Bites with anger-filled passion. You can bite me all you want. We're still running. Hunter ambience, not the hunters. Hunters suck. Kicks, how dare. How dare. Oh, those are just hunters. Okay. I thought it was like one giant creature. But no, it's just 2 separate hunters. Going absolutely rabid. Come on, 3 minutes. It's taking me a minute to get over this dam. 3 minutes! 3 minutes to make 3 creatures. Come on, 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 come on. I'm just gonna spawn these in the main hall. I'm gonna be real. I'm just gonna spawn these in the main hall. Just running and doing this. Why? Twilight? Oh, it's a grave. I don't care about any of y'all. Thankfully, it's spawning like low tier stuff. 2.5. The world is cold. Oh. You'll get your Tickles in a moment. I have hunters and moonflowers chasing me. I have 3 moonflowers up my ass. Pardon, 2. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. I see the house. 2 minutes. Oop. Oh. Well, got it in. I can't... You're so skittery. I feel like this is the safest place to create them. Okay. And this is 1. This is 2. This is 3. I feel like it's gonna take a second to do the others. 1, 2, 3. Yes! I'm missing a 3rd one. Sack of rice. You know, Pumpkin has never listened to Epic the Musical. What is that? I don't know what that is. But look at my boys! Grub. Hold on, we gotta name them. Luckily, I have 3 name tags. I'm gonna name the grub Gub. What do we call it? Nibbler? You know what? It gets a say Nibbler. It reminds me of the character Nibbler in Futurama. And what's the other one? The guzzler is gonna be named Brian. Grub, Snub, and Hub. Nah, Brian. Brian. You know the Trojan Horse War? No clue. Gub. Gub. And... oh, this poor boy. I need to get you some water. Can I pick you up? No. Can I get you to sit? No. These ones don't act like pets where you could sit. I can ride the Gub. I can ride Gub. That is fantastic. But we are officially day 200. Okay, this poor guy needs, like, something. He needs something. I'm just gonna do this in the middle of the room. I feel bad. Come on, buddy. This way, this way. This way. Not that way, this way. Please. Please, I have water for you. I should have gotten the chicken. This way. Please. In the water! In the water! I know you like the couches, but in the water. In the water! Dude, just get in the water, please. Oh, you're just a butthead. Dude, you're so almost there. What do you mean? What do you mean? Just in the water! In the water! In the water! So infuriatingly close. And yet so infuriatingly far. I'm expanding this. At least, like, it's not dying. But also, this is just sad. Come on. This way. This way. This way. This way. Okay. Move you to the side. Doing this. Place wet water. So we can move you over. And then... Nope. Just go over. Yes. And then that, and then I steal water real quick. Okay. Nibbler's fine, Brian's fine, Gub's fine. Okay. We're done. We're good here. That's it. Gonna run upstairs. This is very appropriate music. Hold on, we're turning up the music. I had my volume down that entire time. This is very appropriate music. That's a horrible view. Hold on. I apologize. That's it. We're 200 in and 3 minutes, but 200. It's done. That's it. We're good. I can't believe I finished it. Once again, the reason we did this, thank you all for 200 subscribers. I know it's not a lot, but it means a lot to me, and I wanted to at least do something as a thank you. And I don't know who's breaking blocks. Herobrine's probably messing with something again. But anyway, thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.